Hi, I'm Sean Irvin, the chair of the Sioux Falls Planning Commission. We're going to be talking today about our upcoming Planning Commission meeting for June 6th. Here with me I have Jeff Schmidt from the Sioux Falls Planning and Zoning Department. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
We're going to talk a little bit about the agenda that's coming up and some of the things we'll be considering. So thanks for joining us. First thing on our list looks like it's rezoned from pedestrian-oriented planned unit development to the RS single family. Let's see, northwest corner of 12th and Ellis. I'm guessing that's Cherry Lake.
That's
again.
correct.
Okay.
Yes. And so this is an interesting one. We'll have the public hearing with all of our rezonings. Planning Commission reviews it. They look at the comp plan. They make a recommendation. It goes to City Council for their public hearing at City Council. Why I say it's interesting is because they own the land as well as anybody else when they do these, and they have the opportunity to make this decision. And as you mentioned, Cherry Lake Reserve is a residential area, but when they proposed it to us, it was a pedestrian-oriented planned unit development because they were going to do more. They were going to put in some more things and make
higher density or more types. Okay.
Because there was going to be more, and we didn't know exactly what that was, but they were like, look, pedestrian oriented can be offices, it can be retail, it can be institutional, and on this corner, the people that live out here would work over here and they'd shop over here and it'd be pedestrian, you could walk around and go to, and now they're coming back to us and saying, we're not going to do that. We'd rather just live here. And we're like, interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
And sometimes these things are driven by demands of the upcoming property owners.
Yes.
So this makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. You go, okay, you're not going to do that. You want to do this.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Next one on our list is the Live Work District to a CN Conservation District near 32nd and South Ellis Road. I'm guessing this is right near T's Frontier Elementary, is that right?
Yes, across the street on the east side of T. Ellis Road. And this development, this Ronning property, is being developed as they work from the east to the west out to Ellis Road. And as they again develop, they find out really what land they have left and what they have to do to complete it. They have this CN conservation area for citizens at home. Those are retention ponds. That's where the drainage goes for snow melt and rainfall. And so they have this already. They need to expand it to retain all of the water that they have coming off their site. So this is really a nature of they need more retention on their site to take in all their land. And so they're just adding more retention conservation area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. Looks like the next one for us is RS single family to an S1 general institutional. That's at 26th and Elmwood. So that must be right near the VA and Lifescape, I'm guessing.
Yes,
okay.
Correct. And it's the Lifescape Achieve properties. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing, the Lifescape properties Achieve, what they're doing is they're expanding their campus. So they've purchased some of these single family homes. And if you drive by it now and you'll see in the video, the homes on the west side of their campus have been purchased. They're up for sale and auction, and they would like to expand their campus over to the west and add some parking areas for their employees. So their employees would be more part of the campus and not so much part of the neighborhood. So they've had neighborhood meetings, so they're having neighborhood meetings. They're going to show how they can get their employees back and forth instead of instead of being part of that neighborhood. And sometimes we get neighborhood complaints where people are parking in our neighborhood. They want to get them more into the campus. Mm-hmm. Then they'll have to landscape it. They'll have to berm it. They'll have to light it appropriately. All those standards will still have to be met. But then we look at that as we go forward with plans.
Well, it's great to hear that they're reaching out to the community. We always encourage that just to get all of that community feedback. we've seen a lot of projects in the past few months that have had a lot of that community feedback, and when they respond to it well, it just makes it easier for everybody knowing what's going to happen, right?
You're absolutely correct. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we do planning preview too, because when the plan is a white sheet of paper, the inquiries, they jump immediately to the worst case scenario. And we've got a lot of phone calls on this. What's going on? We're like, look, we're not the applicant. We don't know. You need to wait to the public meeting. You need to wait till they have these neighborhood meetings. And now that we've started to see it, we're like, this may really work well. I mean, how much landscaping, how many trees they're planting, but we need to see it just like the neighbors do.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Looks like our next item is Live Work District moving to a C2 commercial neighborhood and streetcar at 26th and South Ellis. This must be about, what, half-mile west of Memorial Middle School,
Yes.
I'm guessing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And right on Ellis, the northeast corner, there's a Casey's convenience store gas station going up there now. And to the north of that, there's still some C2, because Casey's is on the commercial corner, commercial 2. There's some more commercial to the north of that, but they want to request an additional 100 feet. So I'm going to really generalize this. So let's say there's 150 feet left to the north of Casey's. They need 250 feet. So they have some remaining land, but not quite enough to get another site in there. So they're requesting an additional 100 feet onto the C2 to make one more developable site.
So really, this is just reapportioning that little
Correct.
piece, that little slice, just to make it more able to do what they want to do.
Correct. It's already zone C2, adjacent to the live work, and the live work is going to adjust with this C2.
Right, and this kind of thing really makes a lot of sense from the standpoint of the Planning Commission, just because it helps to still encourage that kind of gentle transition from one thing to the next, and moving the line between those two general transitions really isn't a huge issue, unless there's something else we're not aware of, right?
And there's already the street alignments. It's the same developer. They already have, as you said, transitions. The RD Twin Homes, RD's already to the east as they proposed it. So that's what we'll look at as a public hearing.
Sure, makes sense. Let's see, next one is rezone from C4 commercial to regional I1 light industrial at 2605 and 2609 South Carolyn. So this must be right across from Lake Lorraine, across from I-29, just in that general zone, right?
Correct. So on the east side of the interstate, between Lake Lorraine and Meadows on the River. And if you go back along Carolyn, and this is again why planning preview, I say this every month, why this works so well, because we talk about it and you get to see the video footage while we talk over the video. But that area along Carolyn there, it's zone C4, and some of it converts, but a lot of it is older industrial. You have a real mix of lumber stores and drywall and carpeting and warehouse and distribution. I mean, you just have a real eclectic mix down there. So it's all zoned C4, but what this is going to be is a drywall company. And they're already in that area. They want to expand. And so we're like, well, we've always talked about making it the most appropriate, which would be light industrial. So they can do it in C4, but it's not a commercial use. It's a light industrial use. So
sure,
make it
so
light
it makes
industrial.
sense, and it provides a decent transition, because
but
they're not
along the
really
interstate-
single family anywhere in there.
No.
That's just not an area most people would want to live anyway.
Yeah,
So
right.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's
doesn't
not
it?
office. Yeah, it's more industrial.
Well, this next one is an alternative site plan. This is pretty interesting, because our typical standard buffer requirements that are part of the Shaped Places concept are requiring these things wherever we're adjacent to kind of maybe a little more sensitive use, or something that's a little more of an abrupt transition between things. And so this really helps the neighbors feel better about what's going next to them. This particular one is an alternative buffer yard plan. So let's see, I think it's at 41st and Sertoma, which is right near Roosevelt High School, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I get this one. I think this is Roosevelt Crossings. It's the new. It's the new tenant finish, the new retail stores that are going there. It might not be Crossings. It's Roosevelt retail stores. It's north of the Come and Go. It's been a vacant site for a long time. They're going to put 2 retail buildings in there, and they're going to finish out this site. So to the north is single family, and they need to have their landscaping requirements in there. Well, the requirements are for a 30-foot landscaped area with a berm and evergreen trees. And then they could put in a fence. They need to do that. However, the challenge for them is there's already a fence there and the neighbors have the fence. So we go, well, they don't want to put in a fence next to a fence. So they go, well, should we do that? And if they put in a berm as required, they'd go, if we put in a berm, and for the citizens at home, a berm is a mound of dirt so that you get an elevation change. If they put in a berm there, they would have to tear out all their existing evergreens. So they're like, so to
Well,
me,
and you could even have water flow that goes into the
Correct.
neighbor's
Yeah.
property too, which we typically don't want to do.
so they're like,
either.
if we met the intent of the code, we would make it worse. Or we're like, right, that's why we have alternative site plans.
Right.
Come to the public hearing, show us that you can do it as good as or better. Add some more trees, put in the landscaping that is needed to, again, protect the neighbors, but don't make it worse. If you tore it out and ruined the drainage or took out the existing mature tree, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, nobody wants to take out a mature tree that's
No.
30 feet tall and
Yeah.
put in a little stick that's 3 feet tall and
Exactly.
wait
They go,
for it to
look,
grow.
we met your code.
Just because we're raising it by
Yeah.
a couple of feet, right?
Yeah. So then we'll have the public hearing, and in the end, they're going to have all these things that are going to be addressed.
That's what I really love about the flexibility of this concept of an alternative site plan.
Right.
That really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Next one is conditional use permit for on-sale alcoholic beverage at 1821 West 12th, which must be at Western, just catty corner from U.S. Bank, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's an existing location on that southeast corner. There's an existing facility there. But with conditional uses, we generally look at them over again if they had a previous condition or if they've changed for one reason or the other. So again, with my understanding of this one, there's been a change for whatever reason, and so it's on the agenda this month. And the sensitive use aspect, again, for this month, this is the first one we've talked about. If a on sale, which is where you drink at the site, versus off sale, you take a package away. On sale, you're drinking at the site. If it's in the middle of a commercial area like this Shirley one, they wouldn't need a conditional use because there's no sensitive uses, single family homes around there. But here they're close to single family, so we have the public hearing. And we look if there's any conditions that the elected official or the appointed officials need to put on that issue.
Sure, and the applicant has to go through a whole series
Correct.
of reports for the city to understand that they have to have a plan in place for police and other things that might be related to special conditions that may happen due to this. So there's some fairly careful planning that goes in before it even gets before the planning commission, right?
They have to get their license through the city council. They have to have the security management plan through the police department. We still look at their lighting. We look at their parking. We look at their signage. We look at all those things also.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. Let's see. I think that's kind of the wrap of our agenda for June 6th. But we were going to talk a little bit about amenities.
Correct.
And what really drives what, and how do we want to plan for amenities so that it's the best possible thing for the citizens?
That's correct. It's one of those topics that gets talked about very frequently. Amenities being when you're trying to gather and bring employees to either your business or your community. Amenities are one of those issues you really look at. For citizens at home, trying to bring examples to this, in a community, do you have entertainment? Do you have good quality of life? Do you have certain amenities that draws people from outside of your region to here? In a certain occupation or business, is there a wellness plan? Is there benefits? Are there things within that business that are amenities that draw people from one business to another? and it's always something that gets brought up. Historically, 40 years ago, 60 years ago, people maybe just moved jobs because of the benefits in the package, the income. Now it's much more than that. Everybody looks at what amenities are available. And I think it's something that we need to talk to citizens about, and as Planning Commission, we always look at, and there's some items on this agenda where people may move to a certain area because there's amenities. People may move from Minnesota or Nebraska to Sioux Falls because there's amenities here that they really want, and they're looking for jobs, but they picked Sioux Falls because the amenities over Huron or over Rochester, Minnesota. What amenities do we have are some things that they really look at.
Right. Well, and I think amenities a lot of times have more of an impact on quality of life
Correct.
issues. A lot of people feel like you need to have, maybe it's an outdoor pool or an indoor pool, or
Yes.
other things that they can just go to enjoy. And amenities that we're talking about are those that the city can make sure that are either part of a park or part of a plan somewhere, right, so that we have a logical way to do those things.
And it's for the whole community too, because you're really pointing those things out, Sean. When a husband or a wife decides to come and work here in this community, it's for their other spouse, or it's for their kids, or it's for their extended family. Maybe they're moving here, but they're looking for the amenities for their parents. So previously we didn't think about those amenities, or we didn't talk about them as much. Now you're like, you know what? I hear a lot about this there. I came here and took this job because my parents needed these amenities. They were looking at these quality of life issues. And that's why people moved to Sioux Falls, because it really helped their entire family as well as,
Well, and I think one big amenity that I've heard over and over, including from my own parents, is our availability of high quality health care. A lot of people wouldn't think about that being an amenity, but in Sioux Falls it definitely is, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. And so that's why I wanted to bring it up today. And again, we're at planning preview, and it usually gets talked about within a business, within a job. At this job, can we get employees by offering, a locker room or a wellness plan? But for planning preview and planning commission, we're talking about what other amenities can we add to the overall community to continue to get people to move to Sioux Falls.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Well, that's our agenda for the coming June 6th Planning Commission meeting. If you want to learn more about any of these, feel free to visit our website, search for Sioux Falls Planning Commission on the siouxfalls.org website. I think you'll find much more than we talked about, and you'll be able to see a little bit about what we're considering. We appreciate hearing from the public. We want to hear from you often. Please come call us or come to the meeting and give your input. It's very valuable to us because we ultimately need to balance neighbors' rights with landowner rights, and that's always the thing that Planning Commission really focuses on, making sure that we always make the best possible decisions for the entire community. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next month.